It's about time that we took a look at Android's new constraint layout, don't you think? Welcome to Mobile Application Tutorials. My name's Nigel. Okay, we're still working on the MediaStore viewer. We need to implement the on-click functionality to play videos. But before that, as a part of prelude to that, I want to set up the new activity using the constraint layout instead of the relative layout that we normally use. Okay, so we'll make a start as introduction of Android's new constraint layout, how to install it, set up the dependencies in your gradle build files, and then how to actually use it. So we'll make a start. So the first thing to check to see is you need to check to see if it's installed or not. I'm using a Mac here, so I'm going to click on Tools, go down to Android, SDK Manager, and I'll bring this across. You need to click up here, SDK Tools, and down the bottom here at the support repository, we need to select both the constraint layout for Android and the solver for constraint layout. So wherever you see a constraint layout, let's enable that. And let's apply that to install that. You'll notice it's beta 4. It's saying that it's failed. I have been saying this before, but I think it's just an error in my current version of Android. So we'll click Finish anyway. And as you can see here, it does show installed. And select OK. Okay, so the next step here is to actually, now that we've installed the libraries into our Android SDK, now we need to add the dependency for the project itself. So it's going to be the same format, and it'll be let me check here, Android support constraint. Let me check here, constraint. Don't want a typing mistake, and then it's constraint layout. And the versioning for the date of time for this video is beta 4, 1.0.0.beta 4. Once you've saved that, you're going to have to click on the sync to resync it and pull down the latest or the applicable libraries for this. So the sync was successful. We've got no red horizontal bars at the right side of our editor. Okay, so what I want to do here is to add a couple of buttons for playing our video. What I want to do here is when we click on the thumbnail, the video thumbnail, and you click on that, I want to start a new activity and start playing the video straight away. And so I want a pause button to show up because the video is going to start straight away, so you'll be able to pause it. And then I also want to be able to replay it. So there's just two buttons here. And if we press backspace on that activity, we'll just go back to the MediaStore thumbnail viewer again. Okay, so first thing we need to do is to add a play and a pause button. I'm just going to do a search for that. I believe the naming convention here is IC Media. Just do a search for play. Okay, I've got a whole lot showing up here. I want to get a larger size file. There it is. Okay, so on a Mac, I can actually copy that name of that file along with its path. So if I right click on a Mac, it's now copy as a path name, and that's what I want to select. Now I can add that as a resource. So basically, I'm just clicking on resource, new, and adding an image asset. So asset type's an image. Go down to path and paste our new path. And I just want to use that name IC Media Player and replace the IC Launcher name with that. Okay, I'm not going to make any other changes. I'm going to select Next. And I'm sort of happy with the preview it's showing me, so I can click Finish, select Finish. Okay, that's been added. Now I need to do the same thing here with pause. And there it is, I want to find 96. I'm going to select the path for that, copy the path, and it's just the same thing again. Click on Resource, New Image Asset, select the asset type as Image, go down to Path, paste in our new path, and then put the name in. Sorry about that, I set my Git manually, and paste that in. Select Next, happy with that, Finish. Okay, our buttons have now been added. The next step I want to do is to add a new activity that's going to host the functionality of playing our video. So I'm going to add let's see if I can extend this slightly. I'm going to add the video play activity in this package here. So select New Activity, and I'm going to make it an empty activity. And for the name of that, I'm going to select Video Play Activity. In other words, I want to play a video. Make sure that the Generate Layout file here is selected, because that's the file that we're going to work with the constraint layout. I'm just going to keep everything else unchanged here. Select Finish. Here's our activity here. Now, we're not going to make any other changes to this file in this tutorial. The following tutorial will do a lot of work in here. But moving on, let's have a look at our layout file. So down here is the freshly or newly created activity video play file. So let's open that up. And let's bring that up. So here we have it here. So let's just select the text tab down here. And as you can see, it's a relative layout. So the first thing as part of this course is we want to use a constraint layout. So we need to change that. I'm going to change that in the Design tab. So if you look in the component tree at the very bottom here, you can see our relative layout. So select that and then right click on that, and at the very bottom here, convert relative layout to constraint layout. So I'm going to do that. It's probably a good idea to do what I'm doing. Do it with a brand new layout that's empty. It will save any potential complications if you're trying to convert a layout that's already got existing views. As you can see here, there are certain limitations for converting, but we're okay because we're on an empty layout. Select OK. Now let's go back to text. Let's see the changes here. As you can see here, we now have a constraint layout, but it's an empty constraint layout. So the next step here is we want to add some views. Basically, I'm going to use a surface view to play the video in. So we want to add that. I think it's under Advanced. Here we have it here, a surface view. So we can just drag that across. And there it is there. Before I do any resizing or anything else, I just want to show you one thing. We need to go back into Tab again. And as you can see here, we've got an error. And it's saying this view is not constrained. And that's part of the definition of a constrained layout. Its X and its Y axes need to be linked to a X and a Y value. They can either be to a parent or to another view. And so here are your axes here. You've got 4 of them. So it's just a simple matter here of just holding your finger down and dragging like that. Notice it's been pushed to the right, but we can actually center it if we put a left constraint. And it's now centered. You don't actually, all you need as a minimum is just a horizontal and a vertical one. But I set up the two so I could do the centering. Now I'm going to tie one at the top here. I'm not going to bother with the bottom because I'm going to put a little button at the bottom, but I want to resize this now. And see how I'm getting the little dotted red lines? Not very easy, it's pretty finicky. So this will do me this sort of dimension here for my surface view. Okay, so I'll keep that as it is. Let me see what the ID is for that, so it's something I can remember when I want to use it. Surface view, let me change that. It's best to change the IDs here because if there's anything else that's dependent on those IDs, that they will get changed as well. So surface view, I'll just call it video surface view. Okay. Now if we go back into the text file here we can see we've added a right constraint, a left constraint, and a top constraint. And there's no horizontal bars, there's no errors now. Okay, go back to the design tab. Okay, this is manually adding a view in the constraint layout. In other words, when I say manually, we actually had to add the X and the Y constraints. If you look up here, we've got a turn on auto connect. And turn on auto connect should automatically create our constraints for us, depending on how we position that view. So let's select that. Now we need to add, I want to add an image button underneath that. So inside images and media, I'm going to select image button and drag that. And hopefully there's a good place, image button. And remember, when I start up this activity, I already want to be playing the video. If the video is playing, I only want pause to show up for that button because I want to pause a playing video. So I'm going to select pause here, select OK. And as you can see here, we've got the constraints set up quite nicely. It's added two constraints to center it and one at the top. And so if you want, you can add the auto connect if you want. Personally, I wouldn't use auto connect, but it's up to you. And just let me rename the ID there to I'm just going to call this video play pause button. Okay, and as you can see here, when we added these views to the constraint layout, they actually live here. So if you wanted to, you could delete any of these ones, or delete both. I'm not going to do it because we're already 14 minutes at this tutorial. So yeah, so you can do that. And if we quickly go into the text file here, as you can see, we've got the image button here, and the things to check for is it's got a top constraint and also a left and a right constraint. Remember, it just needs a horizontal and a vertical axis constraint. Fortunately enough for the centering, we're using both left and right constraints as well. Okay, before I complete this tutorial, I just want to add one more thing here. So underneath ID, or you can put it anywhere inside the image button, I want to add the on click. And I'll just call it play, pause, click. Okay, and now if I select the Alt Enter, it gives me the option of creating a play, pause, click method inside our activity. So yes, thank you very much. And there it is there. So basically wherever you click that, this method here will be called. And at this point in time, I will stop this tutorial and conclude it. The following tutorial will carry on where we actually work on this activity to actually play the video. But this tutorial, I just want to focus primarily on the constraint layout and just give people who have never used it before a bit of an introduction to the constraint layout. Anyway, so that concludes this tutorial. If you want to get updates to this tutorial series or any of the other videos that I'm working on, don't forget to click on that subscribe button down below. It is a clickable link. And surrounding me is my social media accounts. My hands just disappeared. You'll be able to see them this side. Any questions, don't post your questions to YouTube. I plead you, don't post your questions to YouTube. I probably will either ignore them or point you across to this link here, Code Mentor. I'm pretty busy, but if you really need a response to your question, I can allocate time out of my schedule to look at that. You will be charged at Code Mentor, but if you've got desperate questions, that's where I can be contacted. I won't respond to questions on YouTube now, I'm just way too busy, sorry. And across here, directly above me is a link to my website. So, and the website contains the written form of this tutorial, the article to this tutorial, details in GitHub where you can get the code from GitHub, and yeah, just a brief explanation of that, as well as the videos included as well. So it's probably a good place to watch the video, look at the documentation along with watching the video. Anyway, that concludes this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and bye for now.